Welcome in to Duval Daily presented by GenJag.com. I'm Jordan DeLugo. Thank you so much for tuning in. Out here in Kansas City with the in-laws getting ready for Jaguars at Chiefs. If you notice that the audio is not quite as the same quality as it normally is, we're using the AirPods here instead of the usual mic, so I apologize for that. But wanted to come at y'all with some keys to victory and some bold predictions for the Jaguars Week 10 matchup with the Kansas City Chiefs. We'll get into it right now. First, I'd like to remind you to follow me on Twitter at Jordan DeLugo, Generation Jaguar at Generation Jag. Please like and subscribe on YouTube. And if you want to support the channel further, you can go check out genjag.com, pick up some Duval gear. You can also become a channel member right here on YouTube, get some cool perks. You can check it out. We've got links in the description below. So let's get into it. Like I said, keys to victory and bold predictions here. We'll start with keys to victory and then get into the bold predictions. Keys to victory. Josh Allen, Trayvon Walker, they need to make Patrick Mahomes uncomfortable, and they need to do so without the Jaguars having to employ the blitz. Mike Caldwell is a very aggressive defensive coordinator for the Jaguars, but Patrick Mahomes has eviscerated teams that decide to try to blitz him throughout the years, and the Jaguars should avoid that critical mistake on Sunday against the Chiefs. They cannot blitz often. And so you need Josh Allen, Trayvon Walker. You need your interior guys to get the job done as well, right? Dewan Smoot, Arden Key, Roy Robertson Harris, Devon Hamilton. But the Chiefs' interior is much more stout right now than the tackles on the outside at offensive tackle. So I think you're going to be a little bit more hard pressed to have a really successful game from a penetration standpoint against Creed Humphrey, against Tooney, and against Trey Smith. But I would say Trey Smith is probably the most vulnerable of their interior offensive linemen. But you look at Josh Allen, Trayvon Walker, they've got to get the job done in some one-on-ones against. On the right side, you've got Andrew Wiley, who has struggled over at right tackle for the Chiefs this year, especially in pass protection. He's allowed 4 sacks. He's allowed a handful, more than a handful of pressures on the season. I think he's at 18, according to Pro Football Focus. On the other side, you've got left tackle Orlando Brown, and he has also been a little bit leaky in pass protection this year. Again, he has the same number of pressures allowed as Andrew Wiley at 18, has allowed a couple sacks on the season. So when you look at how the Jaguars can create pressure and make Patrick Mahomes uncomfortable, it's much easier said than done, but I think their best chance of doing that is going to be Josh Allen and Trayvon Walker, and avoiding using the blitz too often. You don't want to send more than 4 often. You can use sim pressures where you have looks that look like you're blitzing, where you're dropping people out and not actually blitzing, but actually sending 5 or more is usually a death sentence against Patrick Mahomes. So you need your edge players to get the job done. On the offensive side of the ball, run the damn ball. The Chiefs' defense has been susceptible to the run lately. Over the last month, the last 4 games, they've allowed over 138 yards per game on the ground, over 5 yards per carry, 100 yards allowed in each of those contests. You've got Travis Etienne. He's your most impactful offensive weapon right now. You need to use him. You need to continue to pound the rock. Just like the Chiefs have been susceptible against the run, the Jaguars have been running the ball really well with Travis Etienne, who's been probably the most explosive back in football with 6 carries of 25 yards or more. That leads the NFL. So you've got to run the damn ball, not only because that's your most efficient mode of moving the football, but because you want to keep Patrick Mahomes off the field as well. It's not just on the defense to win this game against Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs offense. The Jaguars offense, if they can control the clock, they can limit Patrick Mahomes' possessions. If you do that, you've got a better chance to win against this Chiefs team. Um, and then looking at the coaching decisions from head coach and offensive play caller, Doug Peterson, he did a masterful job of managing the game last week against the Raiders in certain situations, taking some field goals when it made sense, and really just putting the ball in Travis Etienne's hands quite a bit, especially down in the goal line. He had 2 red zone touchdowns last week. I think you need to continue to employ some of this smart play calling, some of this smart decision making that accentuates your team's strengths and tries to mitigate the weaknesses there. And so I think you need to run the ball in the red zone. You need to run the ball all day. And you need to make sure that when you've got an opportunity to get points on the board, sometimes you got to take it, even if that's a field goal, even if you want seven. Sometimes three is better than seven in certain situations. I'm not saying get rid of your aggressiveness. If you're Doug Peterson, you've got to be aggressive. That's in your nature. But you've also got to temper that at times based on your team's strengths and weaknesses and based on the game situations. And I think he did a really good job of that against the Raiders last week. He needs to do that again this week for the Jaguars to have a chance. And my final point here, Trevor Lawrence, Jaguars quarterback, coming off, I think, his most impressive performance as a pro. He has to grow up against cover two. Uh, Teams that run a lot of cover two have given Trevor Lawrence some trouble. The Chiefs run as much cover two right now as anyone in the league. And so he's going to have to learn how to beat that cover two look, the cover two shell, and he's going to have to avoid the turnovers in the red zone. He leads the league in red zone interceptions with 3 right now. He's got to avoid those big mistakes. But just because the Chiefs run a lot of cover two doesn't mean they're doing it overly effective at this point in the season. They're starting 5 rookies on defense. They've got a bunch of young guys in the secondary at cornerback, outside cornerback. And so Trevor should have an opportunity to lead this team down the field along with Travis Etienne, put a lot of points on the board and have a good day. But he's going to have to do it. And I think he's going to have to do it against cover two, which he has struggled to do so far in his young career. So those are the keys to victory, right? Talking about Josh Allen and Trayvon Walker got to get the job done. You've got to run the ball. You've got to make the right coaching decisions, situational coaching, situational game management, and you've got to have Trevor not make those big mistakes in the red zone. So getting into the bold predictions. I got ETN running for a buck 50. Like I said, the Chiefs have been giving up 138 yards a game on the ground over the last month. Travis Etienne has been the most electric runner in football over the last month. I think Travis Etienne goes for a buck 50. The Jaguars run the ball very well against this Chiefs defensive front. And I have the Jaguars moving the ball really well against this Chiefs defense. As I mentioned, they've got a lot of starters that are rookies. They've got a secondary that is not forcing a lot of turnovers, is not forcing a lot of incompletions for that matter. So you look at what the Jaguars have to do, they need to move the ball really well, and I think that they will. You've got, as I mentioned, in keys to victory, I think Josh Allen and Trayvon Walker combined for 3 sacks in this contest. I think they have a little bit of a coming out party when it comes to sacks because I think you're going to see more teams focus a little bit more attention on Dewan Smoot, how he's playing right now, and Arden Key, how he's playing right now. Give Josh Allen and Trayvon Walker some more opportunities for clear one-on-ones, pin their ears back a little bit, and go get after Patrick Mahomes. And it's easier said than done, but the Chiefs have been giving up some sacks lately. There's no doubt about it. I think Trevor Lawrence plays a fairly clean game that Jaguars fans can be proud of. I think he stacks a second straight contest. It's a game where you look at what Trevor Lawrence does, you look at what he's done the last 2 weeks, and I'm saying including the Chiefs. You look back at what he does against the Raiders, what he does against the Chiefs. I think you'll be happy with the direction Trevor Lawrence is moving in after this contest. But unfortunately, I still got the Jags falling due to the fact that they're playing Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid, Travis Kelsey, right? This is just one of the best offenses in terms of talent and coaching, and this is just such a well coached team as a whole. When you talk about Andy Reid calling the plays on offense, Steve Spagnuolo running the defense, even though the defense hasn't been one of the best in the league, it's really been in the bottom third over the last month or so. Uh, you've still got a great defensive coordinator. So I think the Jaguars fall in this one because of the unstoppable force that is Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelsey. I think it's going to be a good one. I think there's going to be a fair amount of points scored. I think both teams are going to move the ball up and down the field. I think there's going to be some excitement on both sides. You've got a lot of big time playmakers in this one, right? Travis Etienne, Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelsey, uh, Trevor Lawrence. I mean, there's a lot of firepower in these two offenses, and you look at the Jaguars' offense, you say, oh well, they're not scoring all that much. They move the ball as good as anyone in the league does right now, and I think that they're starting to figure out how to score in the red zone. So I think it's going to be a good one. I think it's going to be one that the Jaguars fans can be happy that how the team played, but they come just short, and unfortunately, coming just short means they fall to 3-7 on the season. and the chances of sneaking in the back door of the playoffs not looking great. Got the Chiefs winning this one by a score of 27-24. They just outlast the Jaguars in a hotly contested football game on Sunday afternoon here in Kansas City. That's going to do it. Thank you so much for tuning in. Again, follow me on Twitter at Jordan DeLugo, Generation Jaguar at Generation Jag. Like and subscribe on YouTube. And if you want to support the channel further, become a channel member here on YouTube. Also, go check out genjag.com, pick up some Duval gear. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you have a great rest of your Saturday. Enjoy some college football and get ready for Jaguars Chiefs on Sunday.